Hey guys, what's up? It's Apple Critics from applecritics.com, and in this video I'll be comparing the Apple iPhone 6 to the Samsung Galaxy S5. Old rivals, Apple and Samsung go toe-to-toe in this video, once again with their 2014 flagship smartphones. So in this video will be a head-to-head between the two best phones on the market today. So big screens, fingerprint scanners, sharp cameras, slim designs, millions of pixels, and stunning cameras. On paper, these two smartphones that divide opinion so much have more in common than fanboys. So with that said, there are obvious differences in the design, features, performance of the iPhone 6 and Samsung Galaxy S5. In this video, I'll be showing you which one is the best smartphone of 2014 in this flagship head-to-head video. Now, the most obvious difference between these phones is the way they look and feel. The iPhone 6 is taller and it's a much thinner device compared to the Galaxy S5. So you can see that it's both taller and it's both thinner, as you can see right here. Whereas the Samsung Galaxy S5 has a firm feel and it fits the hand a little bit better without leaving it empty, and it's a more suitable size for a smartphone. Now, the mesh rear cover of the Samsung Galaxy S5 also feels really good in the hand compared to the kind of unfulfilling aluminum backing of the iPhone 6. The Galaxy S5 is also 3.9 millimeters taller, 5.5 millimeters wider, and 1.2 millimeters thicker than the iPhone. The main reason for these differences is basically because of the screen, which is 5.1 inches in the S5, making it significantly bigger than the 4.7-inch display found on the iPhone 6. Now, the iPhone is also lighter than the two devices, weighing only 129 grams and 16 grams lighter than the chunkier S5. Now, the only significant difference in the design is that the S5 is IP67 certified, which means it's dust and water resistant. Now, it's not waterproof, which means it's dust and water resistant in depths of up to 1 meter for 30 minutes, and Apple is still playing catch up with having a water resistant device. Now, the overall design verdict is a draw. Each have their positives and each have their negatives, so overall it's a draw. Both these designs are basically flawless. Now, looking at the displays on both these flagships, they're both bright, and it doesn't leave you wanting more. Now, if you look at the Samsung Galaxy S5 display compared to the iPhone's display, they're both really, really good and really nice and vivid, and if you take a look at them, you can't really see any pixels. Now, talking about pixels, the Samsung Galaxy S5 has a Super AMOLED 1080 by 1920 full HD display, and that's where the Samsung Galaxy S5 is better in pixels. And the iPhone 6 has a Retina HD, although it's not really full HD. It's a 1750 by 1334 iPhone 6 display. Now, the iPhone 6 Plus's display is full HD at 1920 by 1080, and the iPhone 6 display is not. Now, the reality with this is that you're not really going to complain and look for pixels. They are both really, really good displays. Both these devices come with additional screen protection, but in slightly different forms. The Galaxy S5 has an industry standard Gorilla Glass 3, which is a really tough glass, and it's really good for screen protection, whereas the iPhone 6 opts for a shatterproof glass with oleophobic, oil-resistant coating. So when it comes to displays, you have to admit that Samsung wins just because it's a full HD display, and nothing comes close to a full HD display. When it comes to storage, the iPhone 6 comes in either 16 gigabytes, 64 gigabytes, or 128 gigabytes. Now, the S5 only comes with 16 gigabytes and 32 gigabytes of built-in storage, although it does come with a micro SD card slot, which allows you to expand the storage capabilities up to 128 gigabytes for the fraction of the cost. Apple will charge almost So Apple will charge close to $1,000 for having an iPhone with 128 gigabytes, whereas you can spend only $100 on getting a 128 gigabyte micro SD card, and you'll have 128 gigabytes plus the 32 gigabytes, and then you'll almost have 200 gigabytes on your Samsung Galaxy S5. Even though Apple does now have the iPhone 6 with 128 gigabytes, the price is simply too high. And with the S5 having a micro SD slot, it just gives you so much more options when it comes to storage. And you can back up your phone on the micro SD and have a lot of features you wouldn't find on the iPhone 6. When it comes to processors, the iPhone 6 and Samsung Galaxy S5 have different processors. The Galaxy S5 has a powerful 2.5 GHz Snapdragon 801 quad-core CPU paired with 2 GB of RAM, whereas Apple stuck with its own brand of chip, this time upgrading the A7 and M7 motion coprocessor chips to A8 and M8 models respectively. Now, early benchmarks suggest that the A7 translates to 1.4 GHz chip with 1 GB of RAM, and Apple doesn't really publicize what their speeds are when it comes to their processor. So overall it's a draw because the iOS is optimized on the iPhone 6 to run very fast compared to the Samsung Galaxy S5, where it is really fast, but it's not really optimized to its own ecosystem, to say the least. So overall, they're both fast devices, and it doesn't really matter how fast they are as long as they get the job done. So if we do a quick speed test of opening up a few apps, so if I clear out everything on both devices and have nothing multitasking, we can now do the speed test. So let's say, for example, we open up the camera in 3, 2, 1. You can see that the iPhone 6 won that one. So if we open up the settings, for example, in 3, 2, 1, you can see that the iPhone 6 won that one. So if we open up the calculator, for example, in 3, 2, 1, you can see that the iPhone 6 won that one. So they're both fast devices, and a tenth of a second won't really make a difference in your everyday use. Now, cameras are very important, and one of our reasons when we buy our smartphone. Does it have a good camera? Because nobody wants to bring their DSLR out with them when they just want to get that one photo really quickly. They don't want to bring their point and shoot with them or their DSLR. They just want to have their phone on them and take some good pictures. So with that said, now Samsung has been known to have some of the best smartphone cameras around with exceptional clarity. Now this camera has the ability to record 2160p at 30 frames per second, 1080p at 60 frames per second, or 720p at 120 frames per second. And finally, the S5 has a front-facing 2-megapixel selfie camera, which is more than good enough for your Snapchat, Skype, and Google Hangouts. Now the iPhone 6, it possesses a lesser 8-megapixel camera with a smaller third of a sensor size. Now where Apple hits back is with its dual LED flash and the ability to not only capture video at 1080p at 60 frames per second like the S5, but a slow motion rate at 720p at 240 frames per second, and this is complemented with the 1.2 megapixel FaceTime front-facing camera. So overall, the cameras on both devices are really good. So if we take a look at both of them, just like so, and you can see it takes pictures really fast, and you can see the edges right there as it takes pictures. It's really good quality if we take a look at it. So you can see it right here, you can see and zoom into it. It's really, really good. Now also in the camera you have many modes right here. So you have all these modes: beauty, face, shot and more, panorama, virtual tour, a dual camera. So the dual camera feature is something that you don't have on the iPhone 6. So you can see your front-facing camera right there, and then you can see the back-facing camera in the same shot, so you're not missing out. And that's a very unique feature. And you also have the virtual tour shot, so there's a lot of features you don't find on the iPhone 6's camera. Now if you take a look at the iPhone 6, you can easily take some pictures, so you can just autofocus and take a picture. It's really fast, it's really quick, and you can see you have your front-facing camera right there. You now have a timer for your pictures and for your selfies if you like, and you have all these features at the bottom. You have time-lapse, you have slow-mo, you have video, you have photo, and you have square, so it changes it up a little bit, and then you have panorama. So you have a lot of features here, and basically the iPhone 6 camera is really good. Now overall it's a draw between these cameras because the combination of a bigger sensor, vastly more pixels, and a negligible difference in pixel size makes it a win on paper for Samsung, but I can't ignore the slow motion capability of the iPhone 6, and it's still a really good camera, and it does match up well with the Samsung Galaxy S5. Now both these devices have really good batteries, but where the difference lies is the removable battery available in only the Samsung Galaxy S5 and not on the iPhone 6. So as you can see, I can just easily remove the battery right here. And you can see the battery right here. And if I wanted to, I could buy 10 batteries, and I could always just, anytime one of the battery dies, I could just put in a new battery, and that's the benefit of having a removable battery on the Samsung Galaxy S5. Now the iPhone 6 battery is really good as well, but just the removable battery is just gives you the ability and the feature to always have battery life and carrying a spare battery with you. Whereas the iPhone 6, if your battery dies, you just have to find a charger, and there's no way of having a removable battery with it. Overall, the iPhone 6 is the ultimate phone if you want to have the best multimedia. You have a really nice screen on it. You have a really nice screen on it right here. You can easily unlock with Touch ID, which is a really good feature. The camera has been improved. If you're into being in the Apple cult, as I call it, and if you're already interconnected with Apple and you have a Mac, I really recommend having the iPhone 6. Now, if you already have the iPhone 5S, I'd say that the iPhone 6 is a really worthy upgrade. Now, since the original iPhone, or say for example the iPhone 5, those have been major upgrades, and this is another major upgrade. It's just the screen size alone is a huge selling point if you're a fan of iPhones, and the simplicity is also a main factor that Apple always implements, and also iOS 8. iOS 8 has been improved from iOS 7, and there's a lot of cool features and nicks and knacks that you can find in iOS 8. Now, if you're into having the best phone on the market today and having the best features and the best spec, is really good for having a lot of features, and if you also previously had a Samsung phone, the Samsung Galaxy S5 is a huge upgrade from even the S4, which was a really solid phone, and also this is Samsung's flagship, so they put the most work into this phone and having it and making sure it has the best user experience. So overall, that was the Samsung Galaxy S5 and the iPhone 6 video. So thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe. Please smash that like button down below. Also, please be sure to check out applecritics.com. Also, please be sure to check out applecritics.com for the latest Apple news, reviews, and more. Also, check out my Facebook fan page at facebook.com/applecritics. And please be sure to check out my latest videos on my channel. And there's a lot more of the iPhone 6. And thanks for watching.